Let's see, for me it actually was being fired. I had been an engineer inside of Intel, and I had won their highest honor called the Ted Huff Award. And I'd been given a check for $1,000 and a plaque. And I had asked Andy Grove, the CEO, if I could have some equity in the company. And he told me that engineers don't get equity in the company, only managers and vice presidents get equity in the company. So I told him I quit. And that's like a week after getting the award. And I went to become an entrepreneur as the head of engineering at a small company. And in the process of building up that engineering team, I hired good people and was doing projects. I ran crosswise against the guy whose name was on the front door. And he told me one day to come, he walked into my office and he told me, you need to fire your hardware manager, a guy called Wilson Wong. And I said, why? And he said, blah, blah, blah. And I said, nah, I'm not going to fire him. He said, well, then you're fired. And then he walked over into Wilson's office and fired him. And he threw both of us out the back door without our personal belongings. Never did get my personal belongings for another six months. And to make matters worse, I would go around in Silicon Valley to get a job, and he blackballed me. Every place I went, I would get the offer, and then it would be retracted within a week. So I got an offer at Sun Microsystem. I got an offer at all these famous companies. It would be retracted. So I, thanks to my wife, somewhere here, became an entrepreneur. You know, Terry, my wife, handed me a computer. I don't remember. It might have been a Macintosh. And she said, why don't you do a business plan? I said, what the hell is a business plan? So she bought me a little book, J.K. Lasser's How to Do a Business Plan, you know, for simpletons, you know. And off I was being an entrepreneur. So that whole firing and blackballing was the event.
I think this is working. Is this working okay? For me, I just had the benefit a couple of weeks ago of giving a talk on this subject up at Missoula at the Rotary to about 40 high school students. And it was on the importance of graduation. But to answer the question specifically, it was really from my parents and my childhood. And it's not so much as a hard luck story, but you know, I mean, that's not the point. The point is I watched my parents work very hard. They had nothing. My father died when I was going into college. We moved into the projects. I was in public housing, assisted living. I was working through college. It was pretty tough. And I was motivated to change my life, not to have that life anymore. And so I finished school and applied myself. And, you know, luckily, you know, I got some breaks too, you know. Like Rob said, there's always an element of luck in what you do. But, you know, I did all the traditional great American story things, you know.
Play you in the movie.
Oh, there's no movie for me. No.
Okay, this is the last one. If you could give one piece of advice to a student just starting in a business, what would it be?
Well, you know, I hate to, go ahead, Dan, go ahead, you take it. Just starting in a business. Wow. There's a lot of advice, but
I'll take that.
yeah, good. No, I got it. Well, you know, the fellow who said it best was, you know, Steve Jobs, who you've probably seen his. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it, and that's his speech to the Stanford graduating class in 2005. Okay. And basically, his message was follow your heart. You know, don't live your life don't live somebody else's life, basically. And, you know, listen to what goes on in here. I have a lot more I could add to that subject, but I think he said it better than I could ever say it, you know, so that'd be my advice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to say follow your heart and follow your core strength, right, because the whole talk was on that. And when I deal with young entrepreneurs and people that want to be entrepreneurs, I ask them that value question. It's one of my favorite questions because by forcing them to think about whether they're providing a great value to their customer in the form of money, it forces them to understand the dynamics of their business better. And it's not an easy question for them to answer, and I would tell you, if I ask 100 entrepreneurs that question, probably 99 of them don't have a clue. But the one that does have a clue and answers it precisely, those are the ones that I'm on the board of directors of, and those are the ones that I'm mentoring. And those are the ones, I might add, that do very, very well. Their companies do very well. So if I had one thing to advise them as in an entrepreneurial way is do the value equation.
I think that the one thing that people who do startups need to realize, it's not a 8 to 5 job. I mean, for probably 7 years in 2 different companies, I was working 16-hour days, 7 days a week, and you have no personal life. So you have to be able to accept that, and most people aren't willing to do that. So you have to know that that's out there and really be able to accept it, otherwise you're going to fail, because somebody else will put in those hours and those days. So my advice would be just see what you really value in life, and if you don't value the work ethic part of it, you're going to fail.
If I may, I think one of the best things a student could do is hang around with guys like this. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and they can be just incredibly helpful in mentoring you. So network with this older generation. Thank you, gentlemen. This has been fun.